International Trade Theory and Policy, the International Economy. The learning objectives are to learn past trends in international trade and to learn the distinction between international trade and international finance. The reference for this lecture is the book by Stephen Saranovich, International Trade Theory and Policy, and it can be accessed on this website. One simple way to see the rising importance of international economics is to look at the growth of exports in the world during the last 50 years, and we see an exponential increase in world exports in terms of billions of US dollars. A better method is to look at the share of traded goods in relation to the size of the world economy. World exports grew from just under 10% of the GDP in 1970 to 30%, over 30% in 2008. Thus, trade is not only rising rapidly in absolute terms, it is becoming relatively more important as well. The growth of international trade and investment has been stimulated partly by the steady decline of trade barriers since the Great Depression of the 1930s. The GATT is the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, and it was first signed by 23 countries in 1948 after the Second World War, when regular negotiations among a growing body of members became a regular event in order to reciprocally reduce tariffs or import taxes on imported goods. During each of these regular multilateral trade negotiations, of which there were 8 between 1948 and 1994, countries promised to reduce tariffs on imports in exchange for reciprocal agreements. The Uruguay round was held between 1986 and 1994, and when it was finalised in 1994, member countries had agreed to 30 agreements, and they'd also succeeded in extending the agreement to include markets in agriculture and in services. The World Trade Organization was also created at the end of the Uruguay round in order to manage this new system of agreements. The WTO is essentially a place where member governments go in order to try and sort out trade problems they face with each other. There are 153 members currently, and the latest round of trade negotiations is called the Doha round, and this was begun in 2001, but it is incomplete. International economics is the field of study that assesses the implications of international trade, but also international investment and international borrowing and lending. There are 2 broad subcategories within this discipline, one being international trade and the other being international finance.